Leah did say I have a special whistle, and she shot 13 today.
She did that to you?
Yeah, she said the last game I had a special whistle.
That comment right there, the one everyone in the sports world brushed off as nothing more than a sore loser's outburst? Yeah, that one. What if it wasn't a complaint at all? What if it was something far bigger? An accidental confession. When Aya Wilson thought she was calling out one game's bad officiating, she may have actually revealed something the WNBA would do anything to keep hidden. Because that special whistle she mentioned, it turns out it might have been very real, just not in the way she thought. And if you've been paying attention to the numbers from Game 4, you already know something doesn't add up. The data, the free throw counts, the flow of the game, they all point to something massive. Today we're going to break it all down, filter out the noise, and expose how a shocking 34-11 free throw disparity wasn't just officiating incompetence, it was a top-down directive from the league office. A calculated course correction designed to reshape the narrative of the entire series. This is the real story of how Aya Wilson's post-game meltdown accidentally exposed the WNBA's hidden memo. Welcome to the channel. We're a community of narrative analysts who uncover the story behind the story. If you believe in that mission, hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but it tells us loud and clear that you want more of these deep dive investigations. All right, let's get into it. Before we expose the alleged cover-up, let's start with the official version, the one the league and the media fed you. The WNBA's narrative was simple: the underdog, battered, and short-handed Indiana Fever, missing 6 players, including face of the league Caitlin Clark, pulled off a stunning, emotional upset over the 2-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces. That IT was a feel-good story, all grit, resilience, and team-first spirit. Meanwhile, on the other side, the story painted Aya Wilson and coach Becky Hammon as the villains, the arrogant, entitled champions who couldn't handle a little adversity. The mainstream takeaway: the Fever earned their miracle win. The Aces were just throwing a tantrum and blaming the refs. A perfect narrative, but also a perfect misdirection, because buried underneath that Cinderella story is a statistical red flag so blatant that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Free throws, Indiana Fever, 34. Las Vegas Aces, 11. Let that sink in. This isn't some preseason scrimmage. This is the WNBA semifinals, featuring the league's most dominant dynasty. Are we really supposed to believe that a disciplined, championship-level team suddenly forgot how to defend, committing 3 times as many fouls in the most important game of their season? Or is something else happening here? That kind of disparity isn't just a random stat, it's a blaring siren. A loose thread that, when pulled, unravels the entire official story.so. What do you think when you see a number like that? Is it just poor officiating? Or does a 3-1 free throw gap in an elimination game hint at something much deeper? Drop your gut reaction in the comments. Because here's the thing, throughout the entire series before Game 4, the officials had established a clear pattern. Las Vegas was allowed to be physical. The Aces played aggressive defense and got away with it routinely. But then suddenly, in Game 4, everything flipped, and here's where we step into the territory the mainstream media won't touch. The footage, the stats, the fan breakdowns, they all show it. The Aces had been benefiting from what insiders call soft whistles. They were allowed to play with a level of contact that the Fever simply weren't given. And if you look closely, the evidence was hiding in plain sight. Play after play, possession after possession. Let's start with one example from earlier in the series. Watch Lexi Hull set a routine down screen, and then watch how Aya Wilson, the league's MVP, reacts to it. The tape doesn't lie.
Plays where it felt like Asia was bullying other players on the Fever, and I want you to watch this play here with Lexi Hall. She's standing her ground, she's trying to down screen, and Asia just chucks her to the ground. Now there was no whistle there, and you can see ref number 16 right there. He's watching the whole thing happen. No whistle.
She flat out throws Lexi Hull to the floor. No whistle, no call, nothing. The referee is staring directly at it, and let's be clear, this wasn't some rare, one-off moment. This was the pattern, the unspoken rule. The defending champions got the benefit of the doubt. Aya Wilson was allowed to dominate the paint with force, push off, body players, and control every inch of space, all with total immunity. If any Fever player had done even half of that, automatic foul. That was the environment. That was the system. And it's the single most important piece of context to understand what happened next, because heading into an elimination game in Indiana, the league office faced a choice. They could let the series continue down the same path, with clear officiating bias and a likely blowout that would quietly end the matchup, or they could step in. Now, here's where we start connecting the dots, the way true narrative analysts do. According to whispers among insiders, before Game 4, a quiet directive came. Down from the league office, not a dramatic rig the game memo, that's Hollywood fiction. This was something subtler, something smarter, the instruction to the referees, call the game strictly by the book. On both sides. Sounds innocent, right? But here's the genius and the trap. The Aces' entire defensive identity revolved around a physical, high-contact style they'd been allowed to get away with all series. The Fever, by contrast, had been playing a cleaner, more disciplined brand of basketball, constantly driving to the rim, constantly absorbing contact that never got called .so by suddenly enforcing the actual rulebook. The league didn't have to rig anything. They just had to remove the unspoken bias. And they knew exactly what would happen next. Every bump, every hand check, every shove in the paint that the Aces had built their defense around would now become a foul. And every hard drive to the basket by Aaliyah Boston or Kelsey Mitchell. Finally, free throws. That one subtle shift, that course correction, flipped the entire series on its head. Now, rewatch the Aces sideline meltdown through that lens. Coach Becky Hammon, a proven champion, known for her calm and focus, completely unravels. She burns a timeout she doesn't even have, gets hit with a technical foul, and gives Indiana a free point in possession during a critical run. That's not a tactical blunder. That's a crack in composure. That's the behavior of a coach who suddenly realizes the rules of the game have changed beneath her feet. And then came her post-game press conference. Asked about the game's flow, a standard softball question. Her response, next question. That's not analysis. That's not frustration, that's an accusation. The sound of someone who knows she can't say what she really believes, that the officiating landscape was altered mid-series, without drawing a massive fine from the league office.as for Aya Wilson. Her reaction said even more. On camera, she kept it professional, repeating the script, we just have to defend better. But you could see it, the bottled up frustration, the disbelief. And then, in a rare unguarded moment, she slipped, revealing a truth that might just expose the league's biggest secret yet.
What? Oh my God, that's interesting. That's what I was looking at. But we'll do better. We gotta play better defense.
By interesting, do you mean that shit?
Yeah, I can't say that because I got a brand to protect. But
Say it, I have no brand.
yeah, it's interesting.
That right there is the real story. On camera, Aya Wilson's polished. Media-trained self says the situation was interesting, but behind the smile, her true feelings were written all over her face. She thought it was absolute nonsense. That special whistle comment wasn't just a throwaway jab at Aaliyah Boston. It was an expression of genuine confusion. Wilson was dominating her matchup, playing the same physical defense she'd been rewarded for all series long. And suddenly, every little bump, every bit of contact, drew a whistle. In her mind, there was only one explanation. Boston was suddenly getting special treatment. She was right about the whistle being different, but completely wrong about why. And that brings us to the most important question of all. Why? Why would the WNBA risk angering its biggest stars and destabilizing its reigning dynasty to orchestrate something like this? For any narrative analyst, the answer is always the same. Follow the money. Follow the story. A clean 3-1 series win for the Aces? Predictable. Boring, forgettable, but a dramatic underdog comeback. The injury-riddled Indiana Fever forcing a winner-take-all Game 5. That's ratings gold. That's a story the league can sell, and the timing couldn't have been more critical. The WNBA is still riding the massive wave of the Caitlin Clark effect. Millions of new fans, record-breaking viewership, and unprecedented attention. But with Clark sidelined by injury, the league desperately needed a new headline, a new hero-villain dynamic to keep those fans watching. As what did they do? They manufactured one. The gritty, battered Fever pushing the evil empire, Aces to a deciding Game 5. It's the perfect script, cold, calculated, profitable, because a Game 5 isn't just another game. It's primetime television. It's ad revenue. It's engagement. It's the story that keeps the lights on. And with one subtle behind-the-scenes course correction, the league ensured that story would happen, no matter what. But that decision trapped Aya Wilson in an impossible position. That'd be why publicly complaining about the special whistle, she stepped right into the league's narrative snare. She couldn't expose the sudden officiating shift without also admitting she'd been benefiting from biased calls earlier in the series. She was cornered, stay silent, and she looks defeated, speak out, and she becomes the villain. And the moment she opened her mouth, the league's media machine went to work. Social media lit up instantly. Fans flooded her mentions, calling her a crybaby MVP and a sore loser, mocking her for refusing to give Indiana credit. The league didn't just extend the series, it redirected the outrage. All the anger, all the suspicion, all the scrutiny that might have fallen on the referees or the league office instead landed squarely on Wilson's shoulders. It was a masterclass in narrative control. So when we strip away the headlines, the spin, and the noise, one truth remains crystal clear. Aya Wilson was right. There was a special whistle in Game 4, but it wasn't some anti-Aces conspiracy. It was the removal of a long-standing bias that had protected them for years. Her meltdown wasn't immaturity. It was the raw reaction of a competitor realizing that the invisible rules, the very foundation of how the game was played, had just changed without her consent. She thought she was calling out a bad call. But in that moment, she accidentally exposed something far bigger. The invisible hand of the WNBA itself, quietly shaping its product for maximum drama and maximum profit. So now, it's your turn. Was this a brilliant business move, a masterstroke to make the league more exciting? Or was it a dangerous manipulation that compromised the integrity of the playoffs? Drop your verdict in the comments. And if you believe, like we do, that the real story always hides beneath the surface, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because this investigation is far from over. And finally, share this video with a fellow narrative analyst who needs to see what really happened here. Help them see past the headlines and into the truth.